Hello and welcome to Modern Latin American History. My name is Brandon Morgan and I am the instructor for this course. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you and learning from your insights on this region's past. Latin America is a very fascinating region and it's a very diverse region, as we'll talk about. And so I hope that you all find something that you are able to kind of take away as a major insight from this course over the next 8 weeks. As you'll see here, what I'm trying to do is walk you through just a quick tour of our class in Blackboard, just to get you familiar with where things are and let you know kind of how things will work over the next 8 weeks. This is what you will see when you log in. This is the course landing page. We will be using Twitter. So that's another thing I wanted to emphasize right off the bat, is that if you have questions about any of the digital tools that we're using for class, we're going to be using Twitter, Tiki-Taki to do a timeline, and we're also going to be using Adobe Spark. Actually, we're not in this class. Let me take that one back. We're just using Tiki-Taki and Twitter primarily in this class. Whenever you have questions about those, don't hesitate to ask. I'm happy to help, and I do understand that many of us don't have experience using these tools. That's one of the reasons that I use them, is just to help us better understand some digital tools, but also to see what the value of things like Twitter, which sometimes doesn't have much value at all, it seems, to see what the value actually is and how they can be used in an appropriate and engaging way. Also, Tiki-Taki is an excellent kind of central place for the class. We're going to be doing our timeline as the core assignment each unit, because it helps us to build a timeline together. So again, those are some of the reasons to use those tools. I'm happy to help you get acquainted with them and help you to feel comfortable using them, if you just let me know what questions you have as we go along. I'm trying to be as accessible as I can. I get back to email as quickly as possible, although a little bit longer on the weekends, and I am available via Twitter and text message. So my text message number is in the syllabus. Don't hesitate to use that. Please do identify yourself, though, when you text me. Let me know who you are and what class you're in, at least the first time that you send me a text, so that I'll know who I'm talking with. But otherwise, that's a great way to get in touch when you have questions. If you scroll further down, you'll see the link to announcements and to check your grades, your scores for assignments in the class. Please use those. I do use the announcements, I should say, quite frequently, just to send messages to the entire class about things that touch all of us. So keep a handle on those things. Scrolling back up to the top, if you are watching this video, you've already found the Start Here tab. I will replace this older video with the one that I'm currently making right now. I will leave this link to What Does It Mean to Think Historically? That's an article on historical thinking. And as we go along through Unit 1, we're not only going to be talking about what it means to study the past, and we're not only going to work to define the region of Latin America a little bit, but we're also going to think about the methods that historians use to understand the past. That's what historical thinking is. This article is really good because it outlines 5 C's of historical thinking. It's just some shorthand to help you remember some of the things you should keep in mind as we study Latin America's past. You should click through the Start Here module. Everything in there is reference material. You can get the syllabus there, but you can also get it in the syllabus tab, of course. But there are tutorials for Tiki-Taki and for Twitter. There's information about help with Blackboard, system requirements. There's important information about CNM's plagiarism policy, which will definitely not be a problem for this class, I hope. And again, all of those things are there for your information, so please do check those out. The syllabus tab not only contains the syllabus, but it also has the discussion board rules and the journal entry assignment guidelines. So those are there for you. From the syllabus, though, when I emailed this out to everyone, you have links to all of the assignments, all of the instructions, everything you need is in the syllabus. To do the work, you'll need to keep tabs on the learning modules, and I'll go through those in just a minute. But as long as you understand the syllabus and the learning modules, you'll have everything that you need to complete the class. And you'll have the checklist to make sure that you get all of the due dates right. Everything else that's here in the course content section, that's just quick reference so that you can go and find a particular assignment so that you can understand what the instructions are, or that you can go and find where you should submit that assignment. And I'll say a little bit more about that as we continue here. Please do check out the instructor information tab. I mean, that might just seem kind of straightforward. It's me. There's a picture of me at the Guatemala Study Abroad a couple weeks back. But as you scroll down, you'll see my response time, some notes about grades and the late policy. Read through all of that information so that you understand what the expectations are and what you can expect from me. I do my best to come through and be working on all of this stuff with you as we go along. So again, that kind of information is located there. The course schedule, the Blackboard calendar, those are references for you. The schedule is in the syllabus, but if you want to access it quickly without having to just scroll down to the bottom of the syllabus, that's what it's here for. As promised, let's go to the learning modules, because here's where you will kind of complete your work and see all of the checklists for the work that needs to be done. As you can read here, all of our units end on a Sunday. There are intermediate due dates, so things will be due on Wednesday and then will be due on Sunday. So please do take note of that and understand when everything is due. Unit 1 is a little bit unique because everything is just due on Sunday, June 17th. It's all of the introductory kinds of assignments, getting to know each other, getting to know the field of history. So I'm not going to click into that one, but I will click on Unit 2 because Units 2 through 6 follow the exact same pattern. They look essentially the same. We'll just be covering different sections of the material in each of them. So you'll see an introduction to the topic that we'll cover for that unit. As you scroll down in the introduction section, this part here explains exactly what you need to complete for that given unit. So this is your checklist of assignments. So typically, you'll need to do your reading, view the film clips, post your reading tweets, and do the first step of the timeline assignment by Wednesday. By Friday, or that shouldn't say Friday, that should say Sunday, so I will fix that. But by Sunday, you will post your connection step and complete your journal entries. That's pretty solid throughout the course, throughout Units 2 through 6. Those are the basic assignments you'll need to complete. You'll also have some discussion board work and final project work. I should say in this class, the final project is kind of one of the smaller things. It's just a reprisal and evaluation of all of the timeline work. But the essay on the Rigoberta Menchú book, I, Rigoberta Menchú, is one of the major assignments that will be coming due at the end of the course. So that's something to keep tabs on and pay attention to. In Unit 2, I've added a section on reading strategies because, as you're probably getting a sense, history is very reading intensive. It's just the nature of what history is and how we study it. So this video and those links will give you some thoughts and methods for skimming. Skimming is not a bad thing. It's just fine. You'll need to do it. So you should learn how to do it well and how to kind of just take away the main ideas from the readings as we go along. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to ask. The next section will always be a list of the readings that you'll need to complete. We'll always have a reading in the Chasteen book and then in the Wood book. So those are 2 of the 3 books that you'll need for the course. Note that in Wood, you'll have a combination of primary and secondary sources. It'll become apparent in Unit 1 what the distinction between those is. And I list, in each chapter, you'll have just a couple of documents to try to focus our reading. The Chasteen reading is going to be the broad context. So it's always a secondary source. Chasteen is a historian who wrote a big survey of Latin America, focused on certain themes. So that's where you'll get kind of the broad context, and then the Wood readings will provide a little bit of focus. And then there's always a journal article that is a secondary source that will provide focus on one particular topic that was covered in the broader context of the unit. So I think that'll all become apparent how those things relate to each other. If not, don't hesitate to ask, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. The questions to consider as you read, you don't have to submit an assignment based on those, but these are questions to help you to understand and kind of pay attention to the main themes of the readings, just to guide your readings. So look those over before you read so that you can pay attention to those things as you go along. The film clips, as noted, there are too many of them for you to be able to watch all of them in any given unit. I understand that. These are here just as reference material to help you better understand the readings. So watch what you can, but if you don't get to all of them in each unit, that's not a problem. You'll see one of these in each unit. This just reminds you to go and complete your reading tweets. If you have any questions about that assignment, please ask early and often, and I'll be happy to help. As noted here, don't use the widget to try to complete your work, but instead go to Twitter or TweetDeck. I like TweetDeck a lot because I'm doing Twitter with several classes and it helps me keep everything straight. Maybe something you would like as well if you want to give that a try. Those are places where you can go and organize how you interact with Twitter and how you interact with everyone else on the course. Timeline submissions. This will take you, if you click to launch, will take you to the area where you submit your timeline work. For each timeline submission each week, you'll need to submit both on Blackboard and on Tiki-Taki. There's a reason for that. The reason being, I can make sure that I don't lose any of your work if you submit in both places. And you do need to write down your work on a Word document or similar before you put it on Tiki-Taki anyway. Just the nature of the beast. So if you turn both of those in, I'm able to find all of your work each unit and give you credit for it. I've included instructions, a link to the instructions for the timeline assignment here, but if you click to launch, this will take you to the area for Unit 2, where you will submit first the ID step. Remember, those are due on Wednesdays, and the connection step, those are due on Sundays. Gives you just a little information about that. This should look familiar, I think, if you've had work on Blackboard before, but you scroll down and you just browse your computer to attach and submit your work. If you're working on the timeline assignment, you've done your research, you're working in your Word document, you come back to submit it, but you don't want to go through the learning module, you can just click the timeline tab. This is where you'll find a link to the timeline, a link to the timeline assignment instructions, also in the syllabus, but you can find that here. You can use this, and please do use this tutorial for completing timeline assignments in Tiki-Taki. Here's just some information about historical significance and what the content needs to be of those assignments. But again, as I mentioned, if you want to just come here to submit your work once you've done it, click on the appropriate unit, and then you'll see the same submission area. So I point that out because all of these links here are essentially for that, so that you can go straight to the submission area for that given assignment without having to go all the way through the learning module. If you go all the way through the learning module, though, you'll have the checklists and you'll make sure that you complete everything as you should by the appropriate due date. The next thing in the learning module as we were going along is the journal entry. So that's the same thing, click to launch, go and submit it there. Remember that the journal assignment guidelines are in the syllabus, they're in the syllabus tab, and if you click to launch, there's a link to them in the submission area. Each unit will contain a self-assessment and looking ahead. Basically, this is just a reprisal of the checklist, so make sure that you've done all these things before you consider that you've finished Unit 2. And then looking ahead, it reminds you about the discussion board and the final project and the Rigoberta Menchú essay assignment. So those are things that won't take place within kind of the regular flow of each unit, but things to keep in mind and plan ahead for. hopefully that all makes sense. Please ask questions whenever you have them. Um, a couple other things to point out. The Chastain intro videos, that takes you to the publisher page for our Chastain book. You have to click a couple of links, but you can find some introduction videos that the author himself, John Chastain, did, if that's helpful to you as you go along in the reading. Communication, this just takes you to CNM email where you can email me. You can use this to get to the online office hours. I found many people don't use that, but it's available to you. During my office hours, we can get on the virtual classroom. And then I'm going to delete Collaborate Ultra because that's actually just the same as the online office hours. You can use Blackboard IM. I'll be honest, I'm not on there very much anymore because I found that no one uses it. So I'm much more easily accessible via text message and via Twitter. So please do use those. And then you'll have a bunch of help resources there at the bottom. So please take advantage of those if you need them. And as I keep saying, I want to really emphasize a few things in this video, so I've been repeating them. Don't hesitate to ask questions. Please communicate with me, and I'll be willing to help out with anything that you need as we go along. I look forward to a successful summer course, and I look forward to learning more about Latin American history with all of you.